everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with a new podcast and we have a very special guest today over here. It's Kayla from BC. She's the CFO of Cake and Caviar. It's a big craft grow company from British Columbia, I think, yeah?
Little craft grow.
Little craft grow. Okay, yeah, we gotta push it a little bit over here. Yeah, thank you for coming to the studio.
Thank you for having me, Eric.
We are so glad. So, why the name Cake and Caviar?
Yes, well, Cake and Caviar came about when we were trying to think of something obviously cheeky, but it also comes from the fact that we grandfathered 180 of genetics from our MMAR operation, our gray market operation, into our building. A very small window for people to do it, and we got very fortunate that we could add those seeds to it. So a lot of our in-house bred genetics are a cake cross. So that's kind of the weed side. And then the caviar, obviously, with the fish, we were actually looking at being part of an actual caviar farm. Yeah. So cake being more those sweet profiles, caviar being more those, the salt to the sweet kind of thing. Okay, and so our more dank stuff, cheesy stuff, indica stuff goes under that kind of caviar banner.
So there's one interesting thing, one technique you use at your farm, which is probably a technique that nobody else or just a few people. Is there? Okay, let's start maybe what it is.
Zoom into my face. Everyone kind of does it a little different. Yeah. So, yeah.
But it's called aquaponic. That's like the main word for it.
Aquaponics, yes.
Because me, for myself, I know hydroponic, I know aeroponic, and I know, of course, the other mediums, cocoa, earth, whatever it is. The aqua is a different thing. I'm like, man, he was like the fishes. So can we get some information about that? How does that work, you know?
So for us, just a background, we're farmers. It's a fifth generation farm that our facility is on.
With wheat as well.
With wheat, weed, all kinds of things. Livestock, right? But 2 generations of cannabis farmers. We had the bison ranch, like I said. It's a very sustainable way to farm protein. Livestock farming can be very damaging to the environment. What's really cool about bison is they actually massage the earth with their hooves.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
So
it sows it, basically sows it, and it fosters biodiversity in the soils. Yeah. And they only top graze, so they don't ruin the roots and the beginning of that photosynthesis step for it to regrow. I'm out and I'm marketing all this, to markets, to meet people, and then I'm selling weed, and it's just like you're dumping water and you're dumping nutrients, and you're, soil in, soil out, like it's very resource intensive. Lights for 12 hours a day, it's very resource intensive. Yeah. So, but anyway, we kind of thought to think, we can do this better. We can build something that is not going to become the most resource intensive industry in the world. Because we're not like, go green. We're not those guys, but we're like, shit, man, we can make a difference in our own way.
As long as it's even a better quality in the end, there's a reason why.
We can show you that you can have a premium product. So that's kind of where it came from. It was just like a pet project. So we did it very slowly at the start. So the aquaponics is when you have a live fish in water, the fish poop, you vacuum that poop out, so they're in a clean environment. It's very beautiful.
How do you vacuum that out?
There's like a little vacuum at the bottom. We grow salmon, and salmon have a current to grow to swim against, as if they're going up a stream, right? In their life. So with that current, we can build a little vacuum at the bottom, and we actually take that poop and we remove it.
So you're just like extracting all the poop from the fishes?
Yep. Yeah. And then that gets collected. The water gets filtered and it's treated for ammonia and then treated with ozone. And we recycle 99.7% of water back to those fish. And then with the waste side, we take a little bit of that water with the waste. It goes into what is called a aerobic digester. It boils and toils from ammonia to nitrates. Yeah. You get all of these beautiful secondary compounds. We filter that out. We kind of keep going a little bit further, dilute it with the water again to make a nutrient solution for the plants. That gets transferred from that step. And it's all one system. That gets tubed out to the next room, which is the cultivation rooms.
It's indoor?
Yeah, it's all indoor this
one,
Or
is the greenhouse?
Not yet, no. Okay. Just the pilot baby project. Yeah. So next step would be to do that. Yeah. And I'll tell you why after maybe if you guys care to know. But and then it goes into these big tanks. We test the pH and the nutrient ratios at that point, and then they go through some pumps and get some to our 6 rooms.
No extra supplements, fertilizers,
maybe maybe sometimes like boron or, potassium nitrate, just a little bit, but we're certified organic under the federal standard, only ones in Canada. It's a dream come true, I think, for us in BC,
So you're in the cannabis industry for some time.
Yeah.
And what's your the main thing you're doing over there, or your expertise?
I started in the gray market. Yeah. And so that was maybe 10 years ago now.
I already heard some stories. So you've been before very good with the money thing and stuff like that?
I'm a chartered accountant by trade. So I did, 7 years education in accounting back in Canada after high school. So after that, I wanted to get out of the big public oil and gas. It just wasn't for me, the corporate life. So I came back to BC and I found myself talking to people who are growing and they did not have the knowledge properly cash flow their businesses. And cannabis is such a beautiful business in the sense that you can make a lot of money, but you can spend a lot of money too. And when it's all in cash and you're not tracking that, it's really hard to know where you actually fall. So that's kind of where I got my start, was helping people manage their money, properly use it, properly account for it, and bolster their own businesses so that they know that there's money going back, etc.
Like the legalization is already 5 years ago, and so you've been starting way before that as well. So we can say
with the
you're
little
in
guys
there for a long time.
Yeah.
How was your way afterwards getting into the cannabis business? Like, how did it went?
How it went?
Yeah. You've been on the gray market before, and then how did it switched? You know?
So everyone started to apply for licenses in Canada in 2018. Some people it took much longer than others. It basically depended how much money you had. If you had these consultants that could come in and quickly put this application together for you and get it through. If you had very clean, squeaky clean people, because that was a big thing. You had to get full security clearance, fingerprints with your child's pee sample, like everything.
All right.
They really go far. Yeah. But then from there, I went right into the public markets cannabis.
Yeah.
So I went from Kayla and her little grow counting money to big public markets, like going and coming in with $42 million and that dropping in my bank account. I'm like, what the hell do I do with this? And then you have 8 people who have ideas of what to do with it. Nobody's aligned. The money just goes and you're sitting there as a money person going, none of that is going to translate. It's not going to translate, to what you want it to translate to. Of course, a lot of beautiful things did happen, but I went from like one, underground to just like front and center all over the world map, and then this race to keep evaluation in a public company.
So you also went through all these tests with the licensing by yourself? So probably you've been easy. You never had problems before.
No, I've been very fortunate.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
I'm a ghost.
Yeah.
So right in 2018, we were getting our license at the farm.
The bison farm.
Yeah, exactly. I handle everything from harvest, helping with packaging. Sometimes I help harvest, sometimes I help there. Yeah. But everything, marketing, branding, sales, business development, finance, accounting. So I pretty much do everything I did at public company. It's just much more manageable now with the smaller operation and less people. So it looks like me helping harvest on Thursdays. It looks like me taking meetings there, or just absolutely crushing spreadsheets for way too long. So it totally depends. But I like the differences, right?
You say like you're the woman for everything.
Yeah.
This woman thing, like you think it's a special thing as a CFO and as a woman in this kind of business? Because when I go to all the cannabis events, just said it last time, I was going there with a friend, with a girl, and she was like, "Whoa, I'm the only girl," and she was like, "Oh, nice, so nice to have Marie over there." She was like, "Where's Marie?" It's the only girl.
That was
me
all week. Huh? That was me all week. So that answers your question. Where's Marie? I mean, I definitely picked the craziest world in cannabis to be in, finance with cannabis. So there's not many of us that.
Actually, me too.
I actually don't know any. One from Rubicon in Canada, Simply Bare. It's a really cool company. Check out. Also organic. They grow on a much larger scale. But Margaret there is maybe the only other woman I know in that field specifically. We don't see a lot of women in management, that's for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, you choose your environment, and I think that's really the biggest thing. I have gone where I wasn't accepted. I've gone where I, had issues with people. Maybe ego, maybe things like that.
Have there been situations where you thought like, oh man, I'm like not a man?
Oh, yes.
Can you give us some example?
Yeah, I mean...
Just to have a bad story for us. The entertainment,
Sure. I mean, going into cannabis when the public markets were going crazy in Canada and we had this inflood of investment from America. You're sitting with a lot of men who have very established records in finance and things like that. And then you pull up as a 5-foot woman with more cannabis knowledge. I've been cash flowing cannabis businesses, more cannabis knowledge on cost of goods, cost of production, and you kind of push all of their projections to the side and say, no, this is really what it is. And they all look at you like, oh, you really know all that? And but then the ego comes out.
Okay, that's where the bad part starts.
That's where the bad part starts. You're from Canada, and you have all these investing groups, and a lot of them are tied into the U.S. and the U.S. didn't do it. We did it first. Everyone's putting their money up here, trying to get in on the gold rush. They're like, "We'll give you $42 million, bought deal. You don't have to worry about it. We'll figure it out. But you take the $42 million." We're like, okay. And that's how it all, started in that world. So the public market sector really set a weird precedent for legalization in Canada. And I really hope that doesn't happen here. What it did was it flooded the market with so much product, and it was a race to the bottom on price where nobody else quality could compete. And then these guys are now just running out of money and now bankrupting. Right now, it's very hard to sustain. Well, it's hard to sustain any business right now in Canada. I'm sure you guys have heard it's just a bloodbath.
It's because of the regulations and stuff, and only the state kind of companies are doing well, and the other one have to pay so much taxes that they're fucked in the end.
It's totally, there's like probably 3 to 4 major issues that need to change. One is that the government controls everything before it goes to market. So we have to send everything to the provincial government. They store it, they sell it.
They store it and they sell it.
They don't tell us who buys it.
What the fuck?
You imagine you put 20, 30 kilos out, a new batch, and you don't know what dispensary holds your product in the province. That's what it is. You don't get the data, you don't get anything. And they take a nice fee. And then you have the excise taxes and stuff on the federal side. So it's the taxation is a big thing. The sales, and they just dump general data and go, this size is a perfect size. This is what we want. And it's got to be at this price. And, we have colleagues like, say, Pure Sun Farms, right? They produce on such a massive scale that they can afford to sell their weed at a much smaller price. But now they're like, well, Pure Sun Farms is selling this for,
of course,
this
but it's
much.
Not comparable
and I'm
all,
going, we don't have the same product. Like, it's a beautiful product. People are happy. That's why they're buying it, and it's more affordable. But for somebody who is a very, very small grower who's a little bit more craft, we have to charge a little bit more. And there's people that will buy that, but they go, no.
What I see on the German market as well, a lot of companies are not profitable yet because they are looking forward to the legalization and to build a brand and then later on make the big money. So how was it, if I can ask that, with your company, is it already profitable with selling the weed, or is it more the investment that first of all keeps it running and it looks hopefully good that it's going to be profitable
it's building and building and building. For example, or as a point, like our revenue from last year, which was kind of our first year full production on the legal side in this facility, and we have about, we've sold about 80% of that already this year in H1, like the first half of 2023. So we're building, and I'm so grateful for that. It'll be our first quarter this quarter. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch. But we should be profitable this quarter. So it's been, 2.5 years.
The first quarter?
First quarter of profitability.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
And
so
I
it's
hit a
mostly
good point
investment.
with that question. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. And you know what?
Congratulations.
And Europe,
No, not yet.
yes, but Europe is a huge help for that, right? To bring product over here, for us to wholesale it, not have to worry about selling it in, in retail packaging, take it all the way that, and then wait for those sales. Cash flow is the biggest issue of Canada.
Is it difficult in Canada to get like medical paper,
No.
No?
It's so easy.
Yes, you go to the doctor, you say,
I don't want to get in trouble for it, but you literally, there's websites, there's everything. You just have a quick Zoom call. It's like 5 minutes. You pull out a survey.
Cool.
How many do you want? 120 grams a month, and you can take it.
Yeah. What would be an advice you would give to Karl Lauterbach, what he should do better maybe in comparison to Canada, for example, looking at the system you build it up or the government build it up in Canada?
It's hard because he's coming from that public safety standpoint, right? And that's what we deal with Health Canada on a very intense scale, being the first kind of ones to legalize it. They were so worried. Yeah. And it's not going to be any different anywhere else in the world, right? It's a substance that's been illegal for how long? Yeah. But my advice to him, if I could ever say it, or to you, would be that don't make it so difficult. Yeah. It doesn't need to be red taped from every step. From the moment you plant that clone or transplant that clone, from the moment that you package it and all the paperwork that comes along with it. Yeah. Like the costs in Canada just to keep up on the paperwork and the audits that they do for nothing, right? Say 400 grams of trim. Yeah. It's missing. Yeah. Where is it? Yeah. It's those kinds of things, the bureaucratic red tape and things like that, overthinking the process and every step to it and causing checkpoints at all of these things. I can
already promise you they're going to do it in Germany. Like all this stuff that you've been just saying, it's like the whole main image of Germany and every kind of stuff. So
bring in the people who know the process. Right now we have an expert panel. That expert panel, I can guarantee you, 4 of the 5 people have never smoked weed in their life. And it's okay. You don't need to smoke weed to want to help and make the regulations. Yeah. But you should know people who smoke weed. Yeah. And you should know people who grow weed. Canada disallows anybody to speak about it to anybody. Yeah. So if you work in a dispensary and you make any sort of
advice or stuff, you just got to talk about the tomato plants or stuff.
Yeah, totally. That tomato plant, she's really good for migraines.
I know this in Germany. I think we have so much nice material. So first of all, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing all this stuff. I think from what I heard from your company, it seems to be like a very nice setup. I really at some point I was like, man, I want to do that too.
I call it the Disneyland of cannabis. So please come see us. We will have so much fun.
It's not for everyone.